Hey there, boys and ghouls. Welcome to another episode of Halloweekly. Nick Rollins here with
George Ely.
And today we are at number 44% on our series How Low Can We Go, where we start at 59% and work our way down 1 percentage point at a time, all the way to 0. See how much pain we could take.
Yep.
And right now we're at 44%. It's actually not that painful.
That's the whole point. The critics have been wrong, but this will be an interesting episode.
Yeah. So far, the critics, we feel like have been wrong, but we're at 44%, and we're at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yes.
This is the one that we haven't felt so conflicted before so far in the series.
Yeah, I'm still not conflicted.
I am.
But I have reasons why I'm not conflicted. But here's the thing is, I'm not going to argue that there aren't a lot of this movie is trash.
Yeah.
Right. But there was a lot of this movie that was great that I think deserves another look and a higher rating than what it got. But we'll get into it.
Yeah, so this film, 44%, has a lot of rotten ratings, and I actually understand the rotten rating. Normally we read out what some of the critics say
and disagree with their points, right?
And disagree with them, but I actually this is such a strange film because I can totally see where a lot of these critics are coming from and where a lot of the fans are coming from.
Sure.
Because there was a guy, and I forget his name, it was like NXT Screen. I'll get you the name for the show notes, but he did an in-depth thing, and I totally agree with, if you're a fan of the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I think it was 12 years or 10 years that have passed.
About 10 years,
that passed from the first one. When you're expecting a Texas Chainsaw 2, you're expecting something very similar to the first one,
sure.
And this is just it's actually categorized under comedy then horror.
Yes.
In this one.
Yes.
So it's a completely fucking different ballpark. And I was one of those people who went in. I knew there was some silly stuff because I had seen it way back then, but I didn't remember it as much. So when I went into it this time, I was like, holy shit, this is a way different fucking movie than I
There's
remembered.
Some weird parallels with this and Twin Peaks. I mean, it's so different from the original.
Yes.
So unexpectedly different from the original. You know what I mean? And I can see why people walking in with the expectation of a carbon copy of the original would be disappointed. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But taking the movie on its own merits, that's the thing is, I feel like, well, we'll get into some of the details of I have a list here of reasons why I think this movie deserves a much higher rating than it gets. But to get out of the way so it's not hypocritical, there are some really low points in this movie.
Yes.
The music is absolutely terrible. We know. The way it starts is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
That car truck scene is like a travesty.
I hate it, but I gotta be honest, I've actually watched that scene on YouTube a few times separately. There's like a slight, as much as I didn't like the film, there's like a charm to it.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Totally.
I know it's not good, but there's something about I kind of dig it.
Right. No, for sure. And that's the thing is, I'm trying not to be hypocritical here because
this is hard.
I feel like writing a pass, so many movies work really hard at not having blatantly ridiculous things happen. It would be so easy to just leave all the ridiculous stuff in.
Yeah.
You could hire less writers and just shoot it and whatever. And I don't want to, it would be an insult to those movies not to point out, for example, that the car truck scene, the kids who are trying to flee the truck, which is driving in reverse, stay at exactly the same speed as the truck on an infinitely long bridge.
Yes.
For 4 minutes of the movie without ever thinking to tap the brakes once or speed up maybe, or they just run parallel to the truck.
Or the guy's standing on top of a truck, maybe hit the truck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or 2 minutes in, they've been spending the entire time we've met them, they've been shooting everything in sight, but they forget they have a gun for most of the sequence.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just whatever. But in terms of broad reasons that I think the movie is great, the one that jumps out to me immediately is the set design is amazing in this movie.
It is very unique, especially what do they call it, Chainsaw Land or something like that. They go to the
Battle Land.
Yeah.
Yep.
It definitely has.
But the set design everywhere, the radio station.
Yes.
It's even the chili cook-off plate, everything I thought was was really had a really interesting looked like they put a lot of work into it. Like the details in the Battleland sequences like are crazy. Like there's just like, you know, there's an homage to Dr. Strangelove in there where they have a skeleton riding a bomb. They have like things in the background. It's just the set. So, but the reason I bring this up is not just like to give the achievement sticker to the movie. It's that when I think of horror movies that have great set design, not many come to mind.
True.
You know what I mean? Like something like Alien will jump to mind or whatever. But most movies, if I'm trying to come up with great set design, like I think of The Devils or like The Shining maybe or like whatever. But there's not a lot of movies that jump into mind. But the ones that do are big budget movies.
Yeah.
By really big time,
like Sleepy Hollow
directors. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is a low budget movie shot in terrible conditions by a questionable director, and the set design is amazing, right? So this movie punched above its weight in terms of its design.
Yeah, because when you say the film, I think about the caves, the radio station, and like all the different. It feels like tie-dye, the set design, because there's so many different colored lights going on.
Yep.
It definitely has its own unique.
They must have stolen like 1,000 lamps from.
There's no way they afforded them lamps.
Like I know that's you know
in Travis County, Texas, lamps went missing all over the county.
So that's like the first thing to me is I feel like it just put itself in a different category in terms of its set design cousins are like major successful movies, right? So that's number one. Number two for me is I've had an issue lately with horror comedies being more funny, less scary.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean they're not good movies. Like I love What We Do in the Shadows, but it's just not scary, right? Like, and I love Zombieland, but it's not scary, right? So like, this movie is genuinely funny and genuinely scary, which makes it the kind of balance in a horror comedy I like. Right?
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's as good as those movies because it's not as well executed as those movies. I'm just saying it puts it in an interesting space where it managed to be funny and scary simultaneously.
Yeah.
Right? Which not a lot of movies can pull off, and even better movies than this movie don't pull it off.
Mm-hmm. And, like, I still think this has one of, like, I was thinking about this on the drive, is there's some people love it or hate it about jump scares. Some people hate them, some people think they're cheap. I like them if they're done right. Like, they can be overdone. But I think the jump scare in this film, at least the first one, I think it is, in the radio station where Leatherface is in the record area. That's, to me, that's right up there with like The Exorcist 3 in terms of jump scares.
It's an amazing moment,
and the build up to it's really great. Bill Moseley as Chop Top. He's fucking phenomenal. God, I have their names here. I just want to make sure I get it right. Stretch, Caroline Williams.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
That scene between him, she's like, "You can leave now." He's like, "Exit, EXIT." Like the whole build up to that whole scene right there is a gem inside what I think is like a garbage can of a movie.
And you pointed this out in a previous podcast episode we did with The Tour. The Tour is all-time classic.
Yeah.
When she gives them the tour. Like I love when she actually makes the elephant move.
Oh, the shark.
The shark. Sorry, yeah, the shark. Like Pez dispenser thing.
Yeah.
It is. Like there's a tour and there's the exit door. Like that was just like a classic moment. And the whole scene I thought was fantastic.
And it's really unsettling because I like it when directors give a certain character like a prop to work with, and they use it in a way that's not distracting, because you can hand someone something and they'll make it real apparent, like, this is the prop I'm supposed to use. But when Bill Moseley's lighting up the hanger and scratching himself and then like eating the skin, like, it doesn't feel like forced or weird. I mean, it feels weird because it is weird,
of course,
but it doesn't feel like, hey, this is a horror film, eat your skin, like, kind of deal.
Well, it seems like a natural. It actually seems like a natural character tick for that guy, and it's super creepy, but it's also funny. That's what I mean, is like it's, both simultaneously. But that's actually the next on my list for reasons why I feel like this deserves a better rating, which is the cast. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Think about this cast, man. Like, when I think about a movie that I think is like overrated, like a movie like Don't Breathe, that I keep bashing on for some reason. You know, and then you think about this cast, and you think about you're dealing with Dennis Hopper and Carolyn Williams and Bill Moseley and Jim Seidlow, and all these guys are like, I mean, this is just
he was great.
Yeah, he was amazing.
He was great.
This is an amazing. It's just an amazing cast. I don't think there's a weak cast member. I even liked Stretch's friend.
Oh, JD.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
LG.
LG. I honestly don't think there's a weak link in the entire cast. So I mean, here you have like a movie that's, you know, rated 44%, like whatever, but I feel like its cast is much better than I see in much higher budget movies assembled. So I just think it was a great team.
Yeah, you see a lot of the more at least polished looking like horror films that come out that, you know, the kind they release around like January, like that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. The acting in it kind of, it sucks, or right. It's not as good.
Right.
These guys, even though I think this is not as good as a film, they at least were able to play more with who the characters were.
Totally.
And at least like in Dennis Hopper's situation, like he could ham it up to like an enjoyable cheese. Bill Moseley could do it where it's actually kind of terrifying. And then Jim Saito, is it Saito?
I think so.
Saito, like I think he was probably my favorite character.
Yeah,
it's tough between him and Bill Moseley, but I just loved him. Like he just felt like a slimy businessman who was like, I'm just out to make a buck any way I can, and his lines were fucking hilarious.
And that's the thing is, I think one of my favorite moments in this movie is when Dennis Hopper arrives and he's singing, like he's coming down the tunnel and he's singing like, I'm the Lord of the Harvest. Like,
yeah.
And he walks in and Jim confronts him with, what are you from, like this catering company? Are you from that food truck down the street or whatever? Fuck you. Like, and he tries to bribe him.
He's like American cash.
Right. He's like misread the entire situation. He thinks this is like a restaurant competition. It's the weirdest assumption. There's a guy with a chainsaw.
Three chainsaws.
With 3 chainsaws in front of you, and you think he's like from a catering company. Like, and that makes sense in his head. It's just glorious. What a insane that is. Like,
that's the only thing on his mind. He's like, we have a big, OU Texas A&M game coming up or something like that. We need to get this chili out of the way, and I need to bribe this guy so we can kill this girl.
But also, like, it makes the fact that makes sense in his head is fucking fantastic, because that means when he has a competitor pop up, like if someone won the best chili contest, he would go to their place with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
like this is making sense to him.
Like he's seen all that shit before.
Right, he'll just chop him up and put him in his chili. You know, I'll be number one because you'll be in my chili. Like
he just doesn't give a shit.
It's just insane.
And he had some of the best
awesome
lines throughout the whole thing. Like, in the beginning of the film, when he wins the chili contest, I love the girl. She takes a bite of the chili and pulls out a fucking tooth.
And he says it's a peppercorn.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's an uncrushed peppercorn. And he just but it was just quick.
Yeah.
Like he didn't bad horror films, I'd be like, oh, I don't know what that is, haha. But for him, it was just, that's what it is. That guy had business to do. Yeah. Like he was a businessman first. And he just didn't care.
No, it's absolutely right. And then another reason why I give this movie high marks is it's the only Texas Chainsaw movie with a chainsaw duel in it.
Yeah.
How did they not think of this for any of the? It's like having a Godzilla movie with buildings not falling down.
Exactly.
Like it's a Texas Chainsaw movie. Someone's got to have a chainsaw duel, and this is like a 4 chainsaw duel. Now I'm detracting points because Leatherface lost the duel, which I disagree with.
Yes.
That's his thing.
It's like Jason losing a machete fight.
He should not. I mean, the Tobe Hooper was going to blow all these characters up with a hand grenade anyway, so it didn't matter who won. Like, he should have wounded Dennis Hopper and then the grenade, like whatever. But like the fact that he lost the chainsaw duel was super disappointing. But the fact that there was a chainsaw duel was great.
That was one of the things I vaguely remembered from watching it, like way back in the day. Was I know at some point in time it was a chainsaw duel. No one's gonna live. The thing I forgot was I just love the lines from what's his name, Jim or Drayton. I wanted to get his character name, Drayton. When Dennis Hopper fucking like rim shots him with the chainsaw. His line is, "A small businessman always get it in the ass." Like, dude, you just got a chainsaw on your asshole.
That was so great.
And you're just gonna like give us these Deadpool like fucking one-liners and shit. Like that was so.
That was pretty fun.
That kind of stuff made the movie so enjoyable.
Yeah, and like the chainsaw chopping scene. With
God!
With the all-time great.
Oh my banana.
Oh my aching banana.
Oh yeah, my aching banana. He just gets such a kick out of him like going to fucking town on the log.
Yes.
One of the things I liked, and we'll get the YouTuber's name in the show notes. What he mentioned was, and some of the other people made the argument before, like this film was supposed to like be like a parody of the time.
Yeah, it's like 80s capitalism.
Yeah, and they try to say like that's why the film's great. I don't know. We talked about it. We don't really buy that.
I've seen that argument a lot, and I actually disagree. I like that the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre had an implicit, insiders versus outsider thing without pointing to it.
Yeah.
This movie built a billboard and then put neon arrows next to it and then pointed you to that message. And that's a little odd. I mean, that's,
yeah.
It's fine to have like a message in like Exorcist caught its time too, but it didn't like, incessantly point to the fact that it was doing it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a big fan of that argument, but I get that it's trying to do something interesting. I think that's not one of the reasons that makes.
But what the YouTuber pointed out, so he mentioned that, and they did do a few things. The one scene he pointed out in particular, I thought they did do a good job at making fun of like the films at the time, was when Dennis Hopper, before he goes into the like the little like caves or whatever, he like takes the chainsaw, it's revving, he runs, so it's like and then he goes up to the fence or the gate, and then he has to stop. Open up the gate, and then he goes back in. Like that part, okay, like that. If they had done more clever shit like that throughout the film, then I would buy that argument. But it wasn't consistent enough throughout the film for me.
Well, consistency is not this movie's strong point. There's just plot holes that are so aggravating and like whatever that I just don't get, and I don't get the reason for them. I didn't get the reason why Dennis Hopper rejected Caroline when she first came to him with the tape, and then came begging for the tape later with zero explanation for the difference between. I mean, he literally rejected her, went and bought some chainsaws, and then went and sought her out, like, and completely changed his mind, which was just, I mean, that kind of shit. This movie's full of that kind of shit that was just like weird. But I thought there were actually clever ways the movie worked against horror tropes too. I swear to God, when Leatherface was chasing Stretched down through the tunnel and Dennis Hopper was hacking at the supporting beam and you saw the tunnel was going to collapse, I was 100% sure she was going to make it through, and then the barrier was going to block Leatherface off, and Dennis Hopper and her were going to reunite, and then we were going to have this team against the Sawyers moment. But the barrier fell before she got through, split her off from Dennis Hopper, who is not much good to her in this movie anyway, right? And then she's trapped with the Sawyers. And you get what to me is this great, the whole dining sequence with Grandpa.
Basically the ending of the first film.
Yeah, but not just on steroids, but like, first of all, Tom Savini is the other reason.
I was going to bring him up next.
So, but I mean, the Grandpa's look and everything that was happening there was like whatever. And then there were just these casual moments where like, we talked about this, where they have Stretch, in the bucket, and Grandpa's trying to hit her in the head, and they keep telling Grandpa like he's great at this.
You're doing good, Grandpa.
And they keep telling him
that hog.
They're like, you've never once missed. I mean, it is so clearly a lie. Like,
yes,
right? He misses all but they're like pumping him up and giving him like whatever, and he's doing this hammer toss thing, and then he drops the hammer, and it's clear he's not going to pull it off. And Drayton just picks up the hammer like in 1 second, like puts her down. Like it was just such a it's that kind of stuff that like redeemed it. It was because that's the thing is it's clumsy in other moments, and then it's clumsy over here and clever over here.
Yeah.
But go ahead with Tom Savini.
Well, I mean, that was pretty much it. Just like the Grandpa looked, the Leatherface. I don't know what all he did. Like, I don't know if he like did the
but dude, the
mask.
detailing on LG and his face getting cut off was like
that
so
scene,
good and so gross.
That scene's the perfect combination of like this film's whack but kind of cool at the same time. Like, I like the idea that he wakes up and she's wearing his face. And then I love him, like, the last thing he sees before he dies is his skinless face, and he's like, shit, or something like that.
Right.
And then that's it.
Yeah, Tom Savini's work in this is fucking brilliant, and that's another thing is you talk about, like, not only is it great cast, but you have this genius, like, pulling off these effects, and there's actual gore in it. It's not like I'm exactly a gorehound, but, like, the original one had zero, nothing, right? So you bring Tom Savini in and you, like, bring this up. Like, if you read that on paper, you'd be like, I'm for that.
Yeah.
Like, as a fan going in, like, I want to see this movie. Mm-hmm. But the movie's just so, like, spotty that no one.
Well, what's funny is the gore itself. It isn't like 80s. Your typical 80s gore.
No, it's not.
Where it's like, heads are gonna blow up, arms are gonna get chopped off. Like there's like a his effects almost match the campiness of it. Like the guy's
Leatherface has a chainsaw sticking out of him, man.
Yeah, at the end, well, even like the way like the guy's face looked when he had no skin, like it didn't look like, oh, we're gonna go throw up a guy's with skin. Like it was sort of like it's weird, like kind of weird, because like if you woke up like that, you'd be freaking out, but there's something kind of funny about it.
Yes.
At the same time.
Totally.
So I think he really nailed the effects. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a fucking fanboy, but like,
right, no, for sure.
Because even before that, like I always liked the head getting cut off in the car. That was before I knew it was Tom Savini, so
yeah.
I just always want to make clear, like, I'm not a fanboy, because like that's so, like, especially for this fucking movie is giving me the most conflicting feelings we've done for How Low Can We Go so far.
The other thing is that it's a great Quentin Tarantino movie.
Go on.
So I mean, except for the lack of music in any way, right? But like, when I was watching this, I got a weird Death Proof feeling from it, right? Like because there are plot holes and inconsistencies, all that shit in Death Proof too. But that's the thing is, I feel like there were so many scenes that were so vivid and so memorable that come out of it, like. It was just, it was so hard to ignore. Like, just when I was getting mad at the movie for like some dumb turn that it took, like there was no explanation for how Dennis Hopper found Stretch at Battleland in the first place. But then, maybe there was. I think he said he was following her.
Yeah,
because he was using her.
Because remember she was going after the truck, and then she was in that like weird rib cage looking thing. I thought it looked like rib cage, and then he showed up behind her.
Yeah, but that was so dumb, because that means that he was staking out the radio station.
That's what she mentions that.
And she's in the radio station for fucking ever, right? And he does nothing to intervene.
I think she mentions there's a line where she's like, you were like, I don't know if she's like, you were there, but they acknowledge the fact that like he was just chilling out, like, I'm gonna catch this family.
But what was the plan? Like, let him kill everyone in the station and then just track him after they left?
Maybe.
Like, wow.
I mean, I don't think. I mean, he wasn't.
Actually, now that I think about it,
I think that might have been his plan, because he wasn't invested in her.
Not till the end, I guess, right?
Yeah, like he wasn't really concerned about saving her life. He just wanted.
No,
to
he
get
dropped her like 4 miles down with the hand reach out.
Oh my god! When he pulls it up and the hand just sort of like falls back over.
That was unbelievable. But I just got a really weird grindhousey, like, whatever feel from it, and I realized that you don't watch a movie like Planet Terror for plot consistency. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So sometimes a movie's trying to do something else, and just when I was getting mad at this movie, it would give me a great line or a great moment or something hilarious, right? So, or something actually scary. So
it's funny when you say it out loud. Like if you did like Planet Terror, Texas Chainsaw 2, Death Proof, like you just added that third film, like it feels like it would. It be
goes there, right? Exactly.
I would never have thought of that.
Right. I mean, way clumsier and not as well executed as those. But,
no.
But sometimes that's the thing is, like, sometimes a movie takes on a life of its own based on the conditions it's being shot in, who's there, how invested they are in it. I've seen interviews with I think it's Bill Johnson, the guy who plays Leatherface in this one.
Yeah.
And Caroline Williams and like whatever, and they were super invested in it. It was not easy to shoot, and I think it just kind of took on a life of its own that maybe Tobe Hooper shouldn't get a ton of credit for, in a lot of spots. But I think it did take on a life of its own, and I actually, even up to the ending, I liked the ending. I know the ending drove you crazy. Right. I know. Oh, well, the one thing I didn't like about it was this movie has way too much dancing in it. Namely, Leatherface with his little dance move.
Yeah, it reminded me of like whenever you complete a level in Donkey Kong. Like he kind of does this like dance, and Leatherface kept doing that. And I was like, stop that.
Yeah, he done it like 40 times.
Get out of
like
here.
I don't know why it was necessary
like
to
that.
show that. Like, well, it was it was his signature move, but it's the classic. Oh, I shouldn't be doing this to poor Toby because I'm about to compare him to Spielberg. It's the classic Jaws mistake. Like Spielberg wanted to have Jaws in like every scene.
Yeah.
But the robot, the shark wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Right. So you end up with a much better movie because like whatever, like Hooper thought that move was cool, but Leatherface didn't sprain a hip, so he just kept getting to do it. Like, and it was like whatever. So it sort of mirrors what she was doing at the end. So I get why that's kind of dumb, aggravating or whatever. But like I
Well, it's also at the end of the first one. Remember Leatherface?
Yes, totally.
Does the whole thing.
Yeah, totally. But like one of the things is I liked, like correct me if I'm wrong here, but like the Evil Dead remake that we both liked, 2013, I think. There's just this manic, crazy ending, but then she kind of walks off into a sunrise, and it's a quiet, like, departure. She's heading towards her life. I think that's how that movie ends, right? This movie has the manic ending, but cuts there, right? Like, she's been driven so nuts by, like, this, like, whatever, that she's just... And she's... the funny thing is, there's a great line in there where Drayton says... something like sex is something you don't understand, like, but the saw is family, right? And then she gets like the chainsaw appeal at the end, it seems.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like she's like, she gets why the chainsaw is a thing, which is true to the ethic of the movie. Like the saw is family is what's happening at the end.
I think that was on the posters. It's Saul and the family.
Yeah, I'm tired from the work I had to do defending this movie, so I'm done. That's what I got for the movie. I genuinely enjoyed it. We can move on to the rankings, but
I just don't buy that ending. I don't know what it is about it. Like fucking I was hoping when she's on the top of the mountain, like a fucking rocket propelled grenade just hits the fucking mountain, blows everything up, just end everything in the movie.
I really liked Drayton pulling the hand grenade thing. I loved he was under the table they were fighting on, Leatherface and Dennis Hopper, and he's like, maybe it's just time to close up shop. He's like, a businessman builds a trade by hooking and crooking, and then they just kick you in the balls. He's like, well, I got the last laugh, and he pulls out.
He was the best part. If the movie would have focused more around him, and then had Leatherface and Chop Top like in the background doing weird shit, then with like the detective story like peppered in,
or a better Leatherface. Although I did find it interesting that there was like a sort of love story going on.
Yeah, like Leatherface got a girlfriend.
Right, so it was kind of like a King Kong thing.
Sort of. Like I see where
he sort of adopted her.
Yeah, because like they sort of like he gets off to like her legs on the chainsaw, but then
which was super awkward,
which was really weird.
Right.
But then there's that scene where like they kind of know there's like a 10% connection, and then like they kind of like rag on Leatherface about it, and even the guy on YouTube mentioned like the face, the look on Leatherface's face. He's like, oh fuck. Right. They're gonna get on me about this. Like I kind of I didn't.
And I actually really liked when she was caught behind the collapsing barrier with the Sawyers, and she was like, she just turns to Leatherface. She's like, I got to be honest with you, it's not gonna work out. That's what I'm talking about. That's so enjoyable. Like it was just that she just laid it out there. She's like, I just can't be your girlfriend.
It's not gonna happen.
Even though I'm gonna die for it,
I can't take you home to my folks. They're not gonna like you.
So it's that kind of thing that's like whatever. All right, so anyway, are we ready for ratings?
I think we're ready for.
Do you have anything else on your list, or you?
I just want to get past this movie, to be honest.
All right, you go. I've been talking.
Okay, so I want to.
It's a 44% Rotten.
It's a 44% Rotten Tomatoes. I'm gonna be nice and give it 45. No,
that's a 44. That's what.
No,
that is.
Okay, so. The problem with this movie is a lot of people are now giving it the cult status.
Yes.
Of a film.
Yes.
And you can't argue a cult film with people because they like it for
totally.
one reason or another. It's like arguing the taste thing.
Well, you actually made a really interesting comparison to Rocky Horror.
Yeah, so before we do the score, I just want to compare it. Like, Rocky Horror is a cult film because it is so fucking different from everything, like pretty much anything still. Whenever people try to do something similar, they go, oh, well, you're just trying to do Rocky Horror.
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people say Rocky Horror was trying to do something else because it was the first to do something like that. The thing with comparing this, saying this is a cult film, it's a cult film for the same reason. The Room's a cult film. Troll 2 is a cult film. Thanksgiving's a cult film. Sharknado, because of just how bad it is. Because when it's bad, it's bad. At least Rocky Horror has some good tunes.
Yes. Well, wait. I'll give you a quick counter argument to that because I think that's an excellent point. But I hate Sharknado.
Yeah.
And Sharknado's way better executed than Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yeah. That's
my point about a movie taking on a life that maybe is almost unintentional.
Yeah.
Because Sharknado was slick and exploitative. Like it is exactly what it wanted to be. I don't think Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2
my problem.
Is what it wants to be, right? But I think there are parts where it
came together.
Right.
But it wasn't consistent. Rocky Horror the whole time. So
correct.
I want to give it 2 ratings.
Okay.
I want to give it its cult status rating.
Okay.
Where I would say, I would even put the cult status at the lower end.
Okay.
So like Rocky Horror, I would say for a cult film is like 90%.
Yep.
This I would say is around 67, 70.
Okay.
For a film, see, I don't want to give it give it a fresh rating just for the sake of the show.
No, don't.
So,
I mean, you already gave it 45. It's gonna be hard.
45%. Honestly, like
we're just totally fine.
There's entertaining moments in the film. You got some really good acting. You got some great effects by Tom Savini. It's definitely between 56, 50. I don't want to go. I'm just trying not to give it a fresh rating for the sake of giving it a fresh rating. I would say I'm giving it a 58%.
Okay, so 45. All right, so here's that's because that's how you really feel. My real legitimate rating for this would be I think this movie deserves to be 70%. That's
generous.
I know you think it's generous, and I know because there's a lot of crap weighing this movie down. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought it just on the strength of cast and set design, it's. I mean, right now, like if you made me pick 10 great set design movies that were horror movies, it would be hard for me to come up with a list of 10. And the fact that this would be one of the first ones I would say just means it's...
And that's fair, yeah.
It's right, just on that part alone, that's the thing. I think the cast is absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the what they did with the characters, maybe they weren't given a lot of they didn't give Dennis Hopper much for the middle part of this movie except running around cutting support beams down.
Yeah.
So and that's the thing is this movie suffers from some really bad writing, some really bad music, and some strange choices. But when I think about the thing is break out the rating to me is I give the movie a 50 for writing, but I give it a 90 for set design.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when I start averaging it all down, I land on a 70.
Well, to be fair, so where does it land for you?
70.
70? When we started the show, in my heart, it was 45%.
Right. Yes, exactly.
The more we talked about it, and we talked about, how when it's bad, but when there's funny stuff, it's genuinely funny. It did go up to the 58-ish %.
Fair enough.
So I would be curious to see, because again, a lot of the reviews we said is that it gets better with time and the more you sit on it. Mm-hmm. I'd be curious to see if...
Oh, that's a good point.
If from a year from now, if I can...
When you rewatch it.
When I rewatch it, because I will watch it again at some point, that I know. Mm-hmm. If it does go for an actual fresh rating. And I just don't want to give it a fresh rating for the sake of the show.
No, dude.
So here's
we're here to be honest.
Here's what we'll do. A year from now, July 22nd, I will re-review the Texas Chainsaw Massacre just to see.
I'm looking forward to this. This is the first time this happened.
Just to see if it's grown on me now that I've seen it fully in its entirety, and we'll just see what happens.
Cool. And I'm curious to see if, because I know in your mind, in the How Low Can We Go series, this is like the moment, like Man on Wire, when the wire dips.
Oh, yeah.
Like we were going pretty, at the same plane. Like we were enjoying the movies at a certain level. Mm-hmm. And now the wire dipped for the first time. Like, but we haven't fallen off yet. Right?
But it bounces back up.
But the question is, will it bounce off or dip further? And the reason I bring this up is here's what's coming up for us on How Low Can We Go, right? So we're heading to 43% where we're going to be watching Jennifer's Body.
Uh-huh.
And then 42% we're watching Zombie 2. Mm-hmm. And then 41% Wrong Turn. So
and I did like Wrong Turn when I first watched it, like middle school.
Yep.
And I'm not too worried about Jennifer's Body or Zombie 2.
No, I'm not worried about Zombie 2 at all, but I haven't seen Jennifer's Body.
Yeah, exactly. So we're both going to go in fresh to Jennifer's Body. So I'm not too
But
worried.
I feel like the wire is going to come back up.
Naturally.
For you.
Because it bounces and it goes back up and then it's sort of,
right.
you can figure it out. So I think that's what will happen. The whole point is to see how low can we go. And
it'll be interesting because it's going to happen to me. I mean, we've got a lot of movies in front of us and we're heading in the wrong direction. So the wire's going to bounce for me here.
Yeah, exactly.
Soon.
But this is the first one where we were not
bounce for you.
Yeah,
right.
So this is the first one where like we had a pretty big difference in our.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing is honestly, the weird thing is we don't disagree. There were moments in this movie that deserved 0% rating.
Yeah,
there were enough high marks for me to average it up to. Above a fresh rating, like for me, right? But I know I'm going to be sitting in your chair here really soon where we watch a movie, and I'm going to be like,
I bet it'll be Wrong Turn.
Ranking this down. I've seen Wrong Turn. I actually really like it.
Okay, so it won't be that.
So it's not going to be Wrong Turn. But I mean, that's what I'm saying is we're heading into like 30-20% range. So
it's going to start getting real.
It's going to start getting real.
We didn't realize how much we should have just enjoyed this moment.
Yeah, right. Well, when we're watching Dracula 2: The Ascension, I'm going to remind you how good Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is.
Dracula 2 is the film we're not changing. Like that is the movie.
Right. Well, we don't have a choice because there's not a lot of movies at 1% or whatever the fuck.
I don't even know how we watch it. We haven't even researched if it's
yeah, that's a good point.
We might have to even.
That would be be great.
Luckily, we're in LA, so we might have to just ask around.
Or we could not try that hard.
You guys got it. Yo, you got that Dracula too? No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you like this episode, consider heading over to our Patreon page and donating to the show. Every little bit helps. We're about halfway to our first
goal. Yep.
Our first goal.
Thank you to everyone who's gotten us there so far. We really appreciate it.
Really
appreciate us advance the show.
Exactly. And
if you can't support us on Patreon, and that's really literally $1 pledge. I think there's a couple of tiers over there.
Yeah, there's a $1 and a $3.
It doesn't take much, but if you can't support us on Patreon, the other way you can help us grow the show is sharing our Facebook post and subscribing on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Exactly, and if you want to join the book club.
Oh, that's right. I'm super stoked.
Where we also have some affiliate links too.
Yes.
So either way, if you want to buy the book, check it out. Consider buying it through us. Head on over to the Patreon page. Like and subscribe, blah, 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 blah. You know what to do. You guys we got the smartest fans of the world. And until then.
And if you're a small businessman out there.
Yeah, be careful. Don't take it in the don't take it in the ass from a chainsaw.
Consider supporting us because it's all going to come crashing down on your business in the end. So
no.
You might as well enjoy your money. But those matters. You're going to get it in the ass.
And stay scary and watch a bunch of horror films.
Bye, guys.
Bye.